Hello, paranormal peeps, and welcome to the second Surrey Supernatural podcast. My name is Graham, and I run the Surrey Supernatural Facebook group. Today is the story of the famous Annabelle doll. Back in the 1970s, a doll called a Raggedy Ann doll came to the attention of Ed and Lorraine Warren, as this doll had a few strange happenings going on around its presence. Now, some history into how they began. Raggedy Ann began life as a family doll. It was an old, faded and worn doll that was tossed into the attic and forgot all about. This was until one day when a young girl called Marcella found her one rainy day. Raggedy Ann was a character from a book written for young children by American writer Johnny Barton Grell. Raggedy Ann was a rag doll with red yarn hair and a triangular nose. Johnny Grell applied for a patent on May 28, 1915. And then was granted a patent by the US Patent Office. Marcella died at the age of 13 after being vaccinated for smallpox at school. Grell turned against vaccination, and from then on, the Raggedy Ann became a symbol of anti-vaccination. A mother who loved her daughter decided to buy her a present and decided on a Raggedy Ann doll, which she spotted in an antique shop. Her daughter, a girl called Donna, who was studying at the time and was about to graduate from college. Donna was happy with her present and thought nothing and placed the doll on the bed and forgot all about it. Donna lived with a roommate called Angie, and neither thought there was anything special with the doll that Donna's mum had brought her. Then one day they noticed that the doll had moved not much, just a tiny bit, but still thought nothing of it. As the days went on, they noticed that the doll would seem to move more and more. The girls would leave the flat with the doll sitting on Donna's bed, but when they returned later on in the day, the doll would be in another room. Lou was the best friend of the two girls, and he hated the doll. Lou had a feeling that there was something wrong with the doll, and had a feeling that in fact the doll was evil, but the girls just laughed it off, as they didn't believe in that sort of thing. They would always try and come up with logical explanations why the doll seemed to be moving around the house of its own accord, like someone, like Lou, was moving it about to scare the girls. Soon the doll's actions became even stranger. Donna would come home and pieces of parchment paper around the house with messages written on them, like "Help us" or "Help Lou." Donna found this strange because no one in the flat had ever owned, or bought this type of paper, had no idea where it was coming from. One night, Donna came home from work and went into her bedroom. There was a shocking sight. There was a doll sitting in a bed with what looked like blood all over its hands. The blood seemed to be coming from the doll itself, which scared Donna immensely. Donna wanted answers, so she decided that she would contact a medium. The medium sat down with Donna and the doll and started to tell Donna about a 7-year-old girl called Annabelle Higgins. Where the apartment block stood, there was once a big field, and one day the lifeless body of Annabelle Higgins was found in the middle of the field. The details of whatever happened to Annabelle never came to light, but the medium said that Annabelle's spirit never left the area and hung around. Then, the day that Donna's mother brought the doll into the flat, the spirit of young Annabelle decided that it would latch onto the doll. The medium said that the spirit of Annabelle told her that she felt safe with Donna and Angie and totally trusted them, and that she wanted to stay with them. After hearing the sad story of this little girl, Donna agreed that the doll stayed in the flat and became known as Annabelle. Lou started to have nightmares about Annabelle. Lou would be laying in the bed when he would dream that Annabelle was climbing up his leg. Frozen with fear, he dreamed that when Annabelle got to his head, her cloth hands would go around his throat and begin to tighten. He would wake with a start with his head pounding, as if all the blood had been cut off to his brain. Lou was worried, and he feared for the safety of the two girls. A few days later, Lou and Angie were in the flat, planning a trip, when they heard a noise coming from Donna's room. Donna was out at work, so they knew it wasn't Donna, so thought it was an intruder and went to investigate. When they got to Donna's room, they slowly opened the door and went in. Everything seemed normal apart from one thing. Annabelle was sitting in a chair in a corner of the room and not on the bed where she would normally be situated. Lou started to approach Annabelle when he had a burning feeling in the back of his neck. The feeling you get when someone is staring at you. Lou span around and no one was there. The room was completely empty. All of a sudden, Lou started to feel a sharp pain in his chest. Lou doubled over with the pain, clutching at his chest. When he looked down, he discovered that there was in fact blood seeping through his shirt. Unbuttoning his shirt, Lou was surprised to find 2 claw marks on his chest that seemed quite deep, and he knew somehow that Annabelle was responsible. Had the spirit of Annabelle now shown its true purpose and why it was there? Normally, when claw marks appear in a paranormal situation, it indicates a demonic entity is present. Demonic entities normally end up with some sort of human possession, and was the fact that the spirit attached itself to the doll was only a temporary home for it before it carried out its true intent. The claw marks on Lou's chest disappeared within 2 days. Donna decided she had enough and called in the priest. The priest, Father Hegan, decided that Donna, Angie and Lou really needed help, and he called upon the services of Ed and Lorraine Warren. Ed and Lorraine Warren were immediately interested and contacted Donna about Annabelle. Ed and Lorraine sat down with Donna, Angie and Lou and discussed all the things that had happened regarding the doll. After hearing everything that happened, Ed and Lorraine explained that they thought the doll was not possessed by the spirit of Annabelle, but was in fact being manipulated by an inhuman presence. Ed and Lorraine stated that the presence would move the doll around to give the impression that the doll was alive, and that the intention of it was to possess a human soul, most probably Donna's. They also explained that when Donna had a medium visit and had made contact with the spirit, it gained the confidence of the girls, and then got the permission it wanted to haunt the apartment. Ed and Lorraine asked Donna if they could take Annabelle back to theirs, and Donna quickly agreed. Before the Warrens left, they called in a priest to perform an exorcism on the doll to hopefully stop any accidents on the way home. Ed and Lorraine left with Annabelle, and Ed said to Lorraine that he would stick to the back roads as it was safer if anything did happen, and that if anything did happen at 65 miles an hour, it would be quite serious. While driving back, Ed and Lorraine kept experiencing several mechanical problems with the car. The engine would randomly cut out or the power steering would fail. Ed opened the bag he was keeping Annabelle in and sprinkled the doll with holy water. This stopped the problems until they arrived back. Ed decided that he would keep the doll by his desk, and then things started to happen again. Annabelle would start to float in the air, and then all of a sudden it stopped. Then a few weeks later, Annabelle got back to her old tricks, disappearing from one room and appearing in a completely different room within the house. Sensing that the spirit inside Annabelle was back to its old ways, Ed and Lorraine decided to call in a Catholic priest to perform another exorcism on Annabelle. The priest did not take it at all seriously, telling Annabelle, "You are just a doll, you can't hurt anyone." This was one huge mistake, challenging the entity inside Annabelle, as on the way home, the brakes on the car the priest was driving suddenly failed. The car was involved in a major accident and the car written off. However, the priest survived the accident. After a while, the Warrens decided to build a locked case for Annabelle to go into so that it was unable to move around inside the house. The doll still sits inside this case in the Warrens Occult Museum, and the entity is still attached, waiting for its chance to be free once again. Since Annabelle has been locked in its case, it has been reported that a young girl and boy visited the museum, and despite being told not to, the boy decided he would taunt Annabelle. Unfortunately, this was one of the last things he ever did, as on their way back home, they had a serious accident, the girl being seriously injured and the young man instantly losing his life. What do you think about Annabelle? Is the doll actually possessed by some inhuman spirit? Or do you think it could just be a made-up story? I believe that story is true and there is some sort of entity attached to Annabelle. Thank you for listening. Until next time, bye. Bye, paranormal peeps.